A very upset Lawson Crouse after the game the other night said, "We want to win." Well, no kidding. That's a good thing. I'm going to tell you why Lawson Crouse being upset about this is a good thing. Also, is it still possible for this Utah Hockey Club to pull off a 500 road trip? That's the goal. Can they do it? Well, let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Utah Hockey Club, your daily podcast on the Utah Hockey Club, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Tom Callahan here with you. Robin Leano still has the day off, and so you and I talking a little UHC today. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We always appreciate you being here, especially the everydayers. You guys and gals, we love to have you on board. Thank you so much. We talk a little hockey right now, and we have plenty to talk about. Today's show brought to you in part by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets. If you win your first $5 bet, visit FanDuel.com to get started. Well, when Utah Hockey Club started this road trip, the goal, as it is, and you've heard me say this before, especially the everydayer, speaking to you, you win at home and you go 500 on the road, and you're a playoff team. That is generally the way it works, and that is the way, for the most part, the numbers bear themselves out. So if you take care of business at home, maybe you win 2 out of 3 at home, 500 on the road should be good enough. And teams that find ways to win on the road and be better on the road obviously have a better chance of success in the playoffs. So that, number one, is important unto itself. But this is a tough road trip right now. This hockey club started against Vegas and went into a very difficult place to play and got a point. So that's a pretty good start to the road trip, even though they didn't win the game. And it was a weird game. It was 3-0, then it was 3-3, then it was overtime, and then Vegas wins. But going into Winnipeg is the best team right now in probably the NHL, quite honestly. I don't think that limits itself to the Western Conference. I think Vegas is a very good team, better than their record, but the Jets are the best right now. And so to take a look at, what Vegas has going on for themselves, what the Jets are doing right now. They only have one loss, and they actually almost won that game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. They came from a long way back to make it a hockey game. But now you're heading into a game Thursday, as you may be seeing this on a Thursday, against St. Louis. And both teams are, speaking of FanDuel, they're a minus on the odds, and Robin usually builds the slide, but I'm just going to tell you about it. Minus 105 for Utah, minus 115 as of right now on the money line right now. And of course, that could change. That's just the time of this recording. But so Thursday, that's a game that I think at this point, if you do have a pissed off Lawson Crouse, if you do have a pissed off rest of the Utah Hockey Club, they should go in there and take care of business against St. Louis, even though they're on the road, even though St. Louis is a tough team to beat, and they certainly can't look past them. And then you have a Nashville team that's been very Jekyll and Hyde. This is a tough 4-game road swing, but the frustration was palpable. Not so much from Andre Tourigny and his post-game comments after the Winnipeg game. You expect your head coach to be more of an even-keeled guy, and he's expressive, but he's not overly emotional. And he is, hey, good stuff, bad stuff. We played the game. We're going to learn from it. We're going to go play the next game. So that's what you expect out of most head coaches, and that's what you get. But with Crouse, the questions were frustrating him. And there was a particular question that was asked to both Andre Tourigny and to Crouse about, moral victories, and now it was presented as, look, I know moral victories aren't great, but, and that I think was really, and you could hear in the whole chat with Lawson that he was just frustrated and thought that they didn't cash in on their opportunities, didn't really generate enough opportunities. And Winnipeg's a frustrating team to play against because they're very good defensively. They are capable of putting the puck in the net. He also circled the missed opportunities on special teams. Winnipeg cashes in on the power play. Utah Hockey Club, once again, does not. And that's a frustrating thing. And then the other thing is just taking advantage of the chances when you get them, especially against a goaltender as good as Connor Hellebuck. Utah Hockey Club struggled with those things. So, as a matter of fact, why don't we hear from Lawson? Play a little bit of his clips here for you so you get an idea of what I'm talking about and his frustration level. So let's hear from him right now.
Yeah, we had our game plan. We tried our best to stick to it. I think we improved a lot in the second period. I think we could be a little bit more selfish at times and shoot the puck a little bit more. But yeah, it ultimately came down to a special teams battle, and we lost that one tonight. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. We had some good zone time. I think that one at the end of the second, we had a couple good looks. But yeah, we'll have to watch it, go over it, and learn from it. But yeah, they capitalized on one of their power plays, and we didn't. And, obviously another 5-on-5 goal later in the period, and then empty net. But yeah, we had a couple looks late in the game that would have been nice to go in. They're a big, strong team, a veteran team. They play sound, hockey all over the ice, and we knew their D would like to hold on to pucks. So the easiest way to get the puck stopped is to create an accident, and I think we can still be more physical at times, but when the game calls for it, it's there. If not, you got to reload, get above, and make sure you're doing all the other little things out there. I think when you get those chances, at times it can be frustrating when they don't go in. So I guess just mentally sticking to it and knowing that those chances are coming. It's easy to get down on yourself, but you got to stay up as much as you can. Eventually they'll start going in. But like I said, we got to do a much better job on the power play. I think of late we've lacked in critical moments of the game that can go the other way. So that's definitely something we need to get back to, and put a lot of emphasis on being ready and making sure we can help the team win when those times come. Yeah, I mean, we have something to prove in our own locker room. We want to come out of this road trip above 500. That's the goal. So obviously it starts with one game coming up in St. Louis and go from there.
Now, you guys obviously don't want moral victories, but do you feel good about the ways your game has grown against two tough opponents?
I mean, we want to win. We want to win.
All right, so that's Lawson Crouse, and I think it comes across. You can kind of understand, especially that last, just the head shake, we want to win. The question is, can they? Can they do it right now? They have to run 70 most nights because Coach Tourney does not think they're able to cover enough defensively with 6 defensemen. He thinks that the minutes would be stretched too thin. It would put the defense at a disadvantage. It probably means giving up extra goals, in his opinion. So when you're running 7 out there to really try to put all your defensemen in a better position to be productive, it does take away a forward. It does remove some options of guys in the lineup. I think that's why rumors have been swirling a little bit more around forwards. And I've had folks reach out to me on social and ask me, do I believe that, this player is going anywhere, that player is going anywhere? Well, you have to understand your general manager, number one, is a guy who's always looking. And most general managers answer the phone when calls come in. They may say, I'm not looking for anyone right now, but that doesn't mean that when the phone rings, they don't pick it up. Other teams could come in with a need. Other teams could come in looking for a 12 forward. They could be interested in whoever, especially in the bottom 6. I think right now that's where Utah's got some depth in the mix. I think it's a little early for teams to go shopping for a bottom 6 forward. I think that's more towards a trade deadline. But if the offer's right, maybe you do try to add another defenseman who can munch some minutes. Maybe that becomes part of a multiple player package. But keep in mind, you will eventually get Durzi back. You will eventually get Marino into the lineup at some point. I know it's not soon, but it will happen. So that's another consideration for you when it comes to, do you want extra players on the roster when it comes down to that? That was the whole point of bringing in Robert Bortuzzo. I really felt like the point to Bortuzzo was that he was going to play part of the year in the American Hockey League, part of the year in the NHL. That's not been the case. He has been forced into full-time duty, which, he's shown before he's capable of. But again, older defensemen can't play 20 minutes a night. I don't think Ian Cole should be playing 20 minutes a night, and they're trying not to make those guys play 20 minutes a night. But also some of your younger defensemen have not stepped into the void. You would like more out of Valley Mackey. You would like more out of Kesselring. You'd like more out of everybody, let's be honest, right? I mean, you're not a playoff team if everybody doesn't improve. And I think that's part of the frustration, too, for this Utah Hockey Club. They're just not able to get those things done. I do want to talk about the rest of the road trip here. We're going to get to that in just a moment. And I think it really was important to kind of go back. It kind of caught my ear listening back to it again, the Lawson Crouse comments. And that's why I kind of wanted to lead in talking about the St. Louis game and just how frustrated he really sounded on that. So, it's worth bearing in mind. It's worth bearing in mind because I think that the frustration can go one of two ways. You put your effort in and it works out really well for you, or you let the frustration get to you and then it becomes too much. So there's a couple ways it could go. All right, quick break and we'll come right back. Okay, so today's show is brought to you in part by Game Time. So Game Time right now is having an exclusive zone deal for the NHL Winter Classic event at Wrigley Field, which, by the way, I love the Winter Classic. It's awesome. Go to Game Time, go to the app, and purchase tickets. Get 10% off bleacher seating and 20 to 25% off on home plate seats. I want to lead with that. Why? Because number one, Winter Classic tickets always sell out. They just do. It's a cool game. It's really incredible. But the fact that right now Game Time has an exclusive zone deal for the NHL Winter Classic at Wrigley, this is an incredible deal. So I can't stress this enough. If you go to the Game Time app, purchase tickets to get 10% off bleacher seating and 20 to 25% off on home plate area seats. That is an incredible deal. And so I just wanted to stress that to you hockey fans. Chicago's a great city to visit, even in the winter. It's a lot of fun to go there. Wrigleyville is awesome. Seeing an NHL game played in a historic venue like that would be absolutely amazing. So I just wanted to throw that out there for you. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. I told you I used that to find myself some great seats at Fenway, another beautiful historic ballpark, towards the end of the Major League Baseball season. And it was great because I got to see a picture of the seats and I toggled on the all-in pricing, which to me, that's what I want to know. What am I paying? I don't want to see this plus this plus this. Toggle on the all-in pricing. It's not in by default. It's not on by default, but turn it on and you'll be able to see what you're going to pay out the door for your seats. I mentioned the seat view, the lowest price guarantee. Your Game Time credits you up to 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time. And also, today's show is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, so Tom Callahan back here with you, and, it's kind of funny. I never actually put that up to tell you guys. You can find me on Twitter at Callahan on air. It's a little peek behind the curtain for you. Robin typically runs all of this stuff, and I don't really mess with the banners that you see go up and the graphics and all of that stuff. I let her do that. And it's kind of funny right now when I'm looking and trying to develop these, and make sure everything is right graphically. And Robin's just so good at it, been doing it so long and just very, very dexterously and deftly just dropping stuff in there. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice that. I didn't even notice that, my name wasn't in there. My headline wasn't in there. Didn't even think about that. Didn't really realize that I didn't have that stuff on there. So it's kind of funny. I might as well leave that on there, right? Just so you know who I am. And there's my Twitter handle. So yes, definitely. If you have questions, reach out to me on social media. It's kind of fun to work on this stuff. So 500 road trip, is it still possible? Oh, absolutely it is. You have one out of your possible points so far. I think St. Louis is a team that you should be able to beat. And again, both teams are a minus on the odds. Nashville's so Jekyll and Hyde this year. It's kind of hard to think what you're going to get out of them when you see them. So just heading into this Blues game, right now the Blues and Utah Hockey Club are pretty much neck and neck. They both played 13 games. St. Louis is 1 point better in the standings. And, of course, nobody's gone overtime as much as Utah, which is kind of wild to me that they've already gone past regulation so much, which is a good thing because they're taking good teams past regulation. And sometimes they're beating those teams. So they didn't beat Vegas, but they did beat the Rangers. And the fact that they're able to, a lot of times, come back in a game and get things to tied is pretty important. So I like that. I like that they have the stick-to-itiveness. I really think that that's a solid team trademark, a solid hallmark of this team, and I hope they're able to keep that up. So, yeah, I think a 500 road trip is still possible. Looking at St. Louis, right now they give up a lot of goals. So does Utah. They both have minus goal differentials. St. Louis is 4-2 at home. 2-3-2 is a road record for Utah. One thing that I think Utah Hockey Club has been inconsistent about, and I know we harp on consistency here, but boy, I look at what they're trying to accomplish right now as far as just getting those shots on net, pucks through, opportunities are generated sometimes just through breaks and bounces, sometimes puck luck, but I think you make your own puck luck through hard work and hustle. And so that, I think, is also leading to the frustration of someone like Lawson Crouse when he talked about, the chances, whether it's generating the chances, and then once you do burying the chances, you have to, it's a numbers game. Pure and simple. You just throw pucks at the net and you get bodies to the net. And the more you do it, the better chance you have to make something happen off of that. And so I think that's something that's real important for this team to do that I don't think I've seen enough on a consistent basis. And if they're able to do that, I think it's really going to bode well for them here in the very near future. All right, we've got one more break. We're going to take that real quick. And then when we come back, I do want to talk a little bit about this remainder of the road trip. And also, kind of interesting to me, something I've noticed, a little trend towards the bottom of the standings. So that has caught my eye, shall we say. All right, let's get to that here. Okay, so today's show is also brought to you in part by Indeed. Boy, we are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agreed Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. So the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join the 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to get you get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/ Locked On. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOn right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOn. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Okay, so one of the things I've kind of noticed at the bottom here of this Western Conference Central Division standings, two teams that just don't belong there, in my opinion, are Colorado and Nashville. And looking at where they've struggled, I'm very surprised to see they're both doing so poorly at home. 3-5 for the Avalanche, 3-6 for the Preds. And Colorado actually has a winning record away from home. They're 3-2. The Preds are 1-2-1, which is not too far off being a winning team on the road. But it's weird, especially because Nashville, Bridgestone Arena used to be one of the hardest places to come in and play. I know when I was there with the Preds, that was one of the hallmarks of that team, was how difficult it was to come into that building and get points. And that has not been the case this year. An interesting thing that I heard Brian Burke say recently, and I think I might have mentioned this in a previous episode, was that he thought Nashville, by adding Marchessault, by adding Stamkos, added too much of what they already had and didn't think it was going to work. Right now, it's actually not looking all that great. 31 goals for is a head scratcher for Nashville because of the talent that they have offensively on that team. That is a weird number for me. Now, their goals against are down. They're not allowing a ton. They're allowing, I will say, a little bit higher than the average of the division. Dallas is the least goals against in the division right now, 27. And then you've got 30 for Winnipeg, but Winnipeg has played 2 more games. And of course, they did a nice job in shutting out the Utah Hockey Club. But 31 goals for the Preds is just bad. And it's weird considering that's what they added, was scoring. So it is possible that maybe you added pieces that don't fit. And I do know Nashville is looking right now because this is not the start they expected. I mean, heck, I even picked these guys to be potential division winners in the Central. They are 8th, so that's not good. But the other thing, too, looking at the Avalanche, again, the minus goal diff, minus 13 for the Preds, minus 8 for the Avs. At least the Avs have scored 46 goals, so they're putting the puck in the net. Outside of Winnipeg's 62, 62 goals in 13 games for the Winnipeg Jets? That's insane. That is absolutely nuts. But 46 for the Avs is the second most in that division, but the 54 goals against is what's killing them. So the Avalanche, by far the most goals against in the division, cannot keep the puck out of the net. They just cannot keep the puck out of the net. 44 for Nashville. That is not quite, let's see, 4th worst, so maybe 5th out of 8 teams. And that's only because Utah and Chicago were tied at 45. Teams that are having a problem keeping the puck out of the net right now that aren't defending their own zone. And we talked about that this was going to be the next step for Utah if they were going to get better in the evolution, was in the defensive zone. And again, I know there's injuries, but you still got to play the games. And I think that why I'm pointing out Colorado and Nashville is they're going to get better. Nashville has a top-flight goaltender. They have good defense. They're going to figure this out. It's not coming together right away, but they're going to figure it out. Colorado is really good, is a really, really good team, and they're off to a pretty slow start. I think Minnesota is also off to a crazy start at 8-2-2. I do believe the Wild are going to come back down to earth, and they're going to fall out, and St. Louis is going to fall out, and eventually they're going to be replaced by Colorado and Nashville. I think those end up as the top 4 along with Winnipeg and Dallas in the Central. The 5 spot is going to be where it's at. Right now, that's where Utah is. I think in the Central, that's going to be your swing spot this year. So who knows? I mean, the Pacific could stay good. Calgary's falling back down to earth. Edmonton is, I don't want to say figuring it out, but at least they're 6-3-1 in the last 10. So they're starting to get there. But, you always keep an eye on the Pacific a little bit. But if Utah wants to win, if they are desperate, but they are frustrated and they can positively channel the frustration, that's the other thing. They really have to channel it in a positive direction. Maybe they can make some strides here. So Fingers crossed, Utah Hockey Club fans. Fingers crossed, because that's exactly what this team needs if they're going to finish with a 500 road trip and get back into some playoff contention. We said if they overachieved, they were a playoff team. They haven't overachieved yet, and it's going to be real hard to do it with where they're at. However, there's still plenty of hockey left, so you never know what's going to happen. You got to watch all the games. They got to play them. They got to play them, because Lord knows we don't know who's going to win them all. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for me on this show. I appreciate everybody joining us here. Robin should be back within the next day or so, and so you'll get to hear her velvety, dulcet tones. But for the time being, I appreciate you stopping by. I'm at Callahan on air. You follow the show anywhere you find social media. We are on pretty much every platform known to man. Look for Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast, and also, of course, on YouTube. Hope if you are able to subscribe, don't forget to click the bell on YouTube so you get the alerts as to when we go live. And of course, our podcasts drop almost every single day of the week during the weekdays, and we do our best to keep you informed on what's going on with this team. And right now, on the radar in the crosshairs is the St. Louis Blues. Huge game coming up here on Thursday, and they really need to put this one in the win column. Just cannot overstate it enough, and they really do need to simplify their game in order to do it. They need to just, I will say, dumb it down to be able to get back in the win column, and that's going to be absolutely huge if they're able to do so against the St. Louis Blues. So fingers crossed they're able to do that. That would be great for this team. Don't forget to check out some of our other shows as well, like the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Show. If you're struggling a little bit early in the year, or maybe you're already in the lead, but you're looking for some value plays or pickups, check out our Locked On Fantasy Hockey podcast. Great stuff over there. And you know what? It never hurts to stop by the opposition, see what they're doing. Maybe check out the Locked On Blues, see what's going on in that part of the world as well. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. This is Tom Callahan. We will talk to you tomorrow right here. Thanks for being a part of the Locked On Utah Hockey Club podcast.